Can I trust this person? Did I just sound dumb? What is my opinion on this subject? Am I just being paranoid? Should I post that? Should I take that down? Is AI going to take over humanity? Will my child be safe? Do these shoes go with this outfit? Should we get married? Should we break up? What is the right choice to make? And underneath all of that, which voice can I trust? We've heard it before. Trust your gut. Follow your intuition. But what happens when there's so many voices in our head, we can't tell which one is our intuition? The Gospel of John is notorious for speaking in metaphor and using images: shepherd, gate, vine, light. And he does this not to confuse us, but to actually do the opposite, to help us see more clearly and to get underneath our defenses. Sometimes a direct answer doesn't change us, but an image stays with us, works on us. In John 10, 1 through 10, we see one of those moments. It shows Jesus saying things like, "Anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in another way is a thief and a bandit. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd. The gatekeeper opens the gate and the sheep hear his voice." And the disciples are like, "Say what now?" They don't get it, which is comforting because if we're honest, neither do we. So he tries to say it more plainly. I am the gate. I am the gate for the sheep. All others, thieves and bandits. The sheep do not listen to them. They come only to kill and destroy. Enter by me, the gate, and you will have life and have it abundantly. Okay, well, what does that actually mean when I'm trying to decide whether to stay or leave, speak or stay quiet, trust or walk away? I'm not sure that helped clarify things for all of them either. Some thought he was possessed, but others got it. And the ones that got it were able to hear beyond the metaphor. Maybe they recognized the feeling of being overwhelmed by competing voices and finally heard one that sounded different. But if they had a lot of voices back then, they hadn't seen nothing yet. Today, we're surrounded by noise constantly. If you're facing something difficult, there will be no shortage of opinions about what you should do, whether or not you asked for advice. And those voices don't just stay out there. They follow you home. They settle in your mind. They start to sound like truth. So how do you know if what you're hearing is your intuition or your inner critic, or the voice of your friend or your family or your therapist or ChatGPT or your favorite newscaster or your favorite influencer or something that someone said to you 20 years ago that never quite left? The real question isn't, are there voices? It's which voice has authority over me. In Toy Story 4, forgive the reference, I have 3 little boys, and Toy Story is a huge part of our lives. In Toy Story 4, Woody tries to explain this concept to Buzz.
That little voice inside me would never leave me alone if I gave up. Who do you think it is? Who? The voice inside of you. Who do you think it is? Me? You know, my conscience? That part of you that tells you things, what you're really thinking? Fascinating. So your inner voice advises you. What?
It's a secret mission in Uncharted 3.
Buzz thinks guidance comes from an external script. Press a button, get an answer. Woody realizes that it's something internal. Quieter, harder to access, but more real. It would be nice to press a button and be told what to do. It would save us a lot of second guessing. It would save us from getting it wrong. But it robs us of an essential piece of what makes us human: our capacity for discernment in complicated situations. Too often, we trade that out for shortcuts. We lean on slogans and one-liners to tell us what to think. People never change. You deserve better. Protect your peace. Sometimes they're true, sometimes they're not. Or we just outsource it completely. Internet, tell me what to think about Israel and Palestine. ChatGPT, write my paper for me. Bible, give me an answer so I don't have to wrestle with this too much. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German pastor and theologian who resisted Hitler and stood in solidarity with those targeted by the Nazi regime. He was eventually arrested and executed in a concentration camp just weeks before the end of the war. But while he was in prison, he wrote an essay called On Stupidity and Evil. In it, he makes this observation. The problem wasn't just that people were evil. It's that they had stopped thinking. They repeated slogans. They outsourced their opinions. And once that happens, he says, a person becomes almost impossible to reason with because they're no longer actually thinking. They're just echoing. Which raises a hard question. How much of what I believe have I discerned for myself, and how much of it have I absorbed? Maybe our intuition will line up with what everyone else is saying, or maybe it won't. Maybe it'll surprise people, ruffle some feathers, lead people to judge you. But it will be yours. And when we can't tell the difference between intuition and fear, between the voice of the shepherd and the voice of a thief, Jesus gives us some clues. If a voice is constantly setting off alarms, rushing you, panicking you, leading you by fear, that's a sign it may not belong. It's a thief. It broke in through the window. But the shepherd enters through the gate. And that voice is different. That voice is quieter. It doesn't force its way in, doesn't rush you or shame you. It meets you where you are. And even when it challenges you, there's a sense of life on the other side of it. There are a lot of voices competing for your attention, but not all of them belong to you. The work of being human, the work of following the shepherd, is learning slowly how to recognize the one that does. So the next time the question starts spiraling, maybe we ask ourselves, which voice is speaking right now? And how did it get in? And where is it leading me? Because not every voice leads to life and life abundant.